What's up, guys? It's me, Tony G, coming to you from Live Hotel and Casino again. This is episode 74 of my vlog. In this episode, no choice but to play cash. We're going to get into a 1-3 no limit poker game. Right now there are about 5 or 6 tables running in the afternoon here. And hopefully the session goes better than it did last time. I'm going to try to be more vigilant and aggressive. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here we go. Hey, real quick, if this is your first time here, do me a favor. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you get notified of all my vlogs. If you're not new here, I appreciate you coming back. Thanks for checking me out again. And let's get into this episode. Not sure if you guys can see it, there's plexiglass in between every slot machine. Other areas, they just have the slot machines turned off or a sign on it about social distancing. All right, I'm on the list for 1-3. They said about 15-20 minutes. Let's go see if it's our time. Okay, in the very first hand at the table, I barely have time to get my phone out. I have the king of hearts, the king of clubs. I am under the gun. It limps to me and I decide to bet 15. The button calls and we are heads up to the flop. And the flop is the jack of hearts, the 10 of hearts, and the 7 of diamonds. I check. Yes, I know I should have bet. Discuss it in a minute. Button checks. The turn is the 8 of hearts. Checks to the river. And the river's a brick. It's the 3 of spades. Button bets 25. And I reluctantly call after playing with my chips for a good 5 or 6 seconds. I know I probably shouldn't have called, and he shows ace-9 for the straight. And let's pause for a second. After watching this back, yes, I realize if I would have bet aggressively on the flop, I probably could have got him off that hand and taken it down with him thinking I either had a jack or a 10 or another combo of a straight draw, and I probably could have won that hand. A couple orbits later, I have the ace of spades, the jack of hearts. I am on the button. It limps to me, and I throw out a bet of $10. The small blind calls and middle position calls, so we are 3 ways to the flop, and the flop comes pretty favorable for us. The flop is the jack of diamonds, the 9 of spades, and the 7 of spades, so we have top pair. The small blind bets $10. Middle position calls the $10, and I look at my cards with top pair, decide to play a little more aggressive and raise it up to 20. The small blind folds, and middle position thinks for a second but ultimately folds, and being aggressive helped out, and we take down that pot with a pair of jacks. Mid-session update here. I wish I could say it was going better. I've had kings cracked twice. I don't know what else to do. Got to get back and hopefully grind it out and make some money. Okay, not too long after my first little break, I have the jack of hearts, the 10 of clubs. I'm in middle position. I call the $10 bet, and 2 other guys are in it also, so we are 3 ways to the flop, and the flop comes out the 3 of hearts, the 5 of hearts, and the 8 of spades. It checks to me. I bet $10. The big blind calls, and the small blind, I believe, folds. And now we're heads up to the turn. And the turn is the 6 of spades. Doesn't really help me out too much, but does put a straight draw on the board. The villain there across from me, as you can see, counts his chips out and bets $22. He can't have the completed straight yet that I can think of at the time. So I decided to call. The river is the 7 of hearts. That kind of scares me a little bit because there's a flush draw obviously on there. It checks down and he shows 4-9 and we lose that pot. Okay, a couple orbits later, I have the king of spades and the 10 of diamonds. I'm in middle position. The under the gun has a $6 straddle. Right now, that's all they're allowing at live casino because we're only 7-handed. And I think somebody said the state of Maryland doesn't allow anything more than that right now. But like I said, I decided to call the $6 straddle, and we're 4 ways to the flop. And the flop comes decent for me. It's the 10 of spades, the 3 of diamonds, and the 3 of hearts. It does check to the middle position. I'm sorry, checks to the small blind, who bets 20. And I decide to go ahead and call the 20 after the big blind folds and the cutoff folds. At this point, we're heads up to the turn, and the turn is the 6 of hearts. After I look at my cards, I decide to throw a small bet out of $10. The small blind decides to think after he looks at his cards, looks at me. At this point, I feel like he has maybe a 3, maybe a 6. I'm not quite sure, but I definitely thought he connected with one of those 2 cards. He decides to go ahead and re-raise it up after thinking for a good while to 40. I do call the 40, and the river is the gorgeous 10 of hearts, giving me a full house. I think for a second, but just decide to rip it all in there for about $100 effective. He mucks face up and says, "Good job," and he shows 9-3, so he had trip 3s, and we take down a decent-sized pot. I lost a lot of dumb money, 15 here, 20 there, and then I get pocket 4s. I'm on the button, it limps to me, and I decide to make it 10 to go. After the small blind calls and the cutoff calls, the middle position also calls. We are 4 ways to the flop now. And the flop is the queen of spades, the jack of hearts, and the 4 of spades. It does actually check to the turn. The turn is the 10 of hearts. And now it checks to me again. And obviously with a set of 4s, I'm not going to not bet. So I throw out a bet of $15. The small blind actually calls, and the cutoff and the middle position decide to fold. So we're heads up to the river. The river is the 6 of diamonds, and the small blind leads out for 25. I decide to quickly call, and he shows jack of diamonds, 10 of spades for 2 pair, and we take down that pot with a set of 4s. Okay, and the final hand I'm going to go over in this session, I have the king of spades, the king of clubs. I'm in the small blind. This is the 3rd time today I've had kings. The first 2, they got cracked. Let's see if this goes any better. The big blind bets 15. The middle position calls. And the button looks at his hand and is counting out chips. And ultimately decides to bet $50. I tank for a couple seconds and look at my cards and think, does he have aces, or is he trying to get this money that's already in the pot? I decide to just rip it all in there. I go all in for about 230 effective. He's talking to me. He says, do you have kings? Do you have aces? I'm just nodding my head back and forth. He's struggling with calling or not. At this point, I think I want him to call, because I think if he had aces, obviously he was probably calling quicker than what he did. He gets a count of the $230. He does decide to fold, and we take down the pot. Later, he says, I had pocket queens. All right, dinner break. Last hand, I had kings. Guy with queens, after the hand he told me he had queens. Raise it up to 50. I go all in, as you saw. Tanks for a very long time and folds. So good call by me. Goes grab a bite to eat and let's get back in it. Oh, by the way, I'm up now. $25, I'm up. All right, and that's the end of the session. 4 hours, and wound up being down 25 bucks. Not bad. Can't wait to get back here and play again. Hopefully it'll be sooner than later, but see you soon. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. And don't forget, it doesn't matter how you're living your life, as long as you're living the felt life.